running at you. They will take the challenge because for them, like, they see 50 bucks. They see points on the leaderboard. They see ways to climb this way up. No, it's serious. That's how MMB, that's how Volts and that's what they look at retail as. If you want to come there that confident, and the mental game is so important, particularly in a heat structure like this, where if you're in the first two games, if you are hanging around off this page, if you're not in direct contention, you might think, man, I'm struggling right now. Like, you really need to get into it, but in reality, you're able to string together 1 or 2 strong games, or even a victory royale right now would put you through, right? And any of these guys are capable of winning one of these games, so it's all about keeping a strong mental game as you're going through.
It's tough, man. I mean, as much as I want to see showing the jar of mayonnaise, it would be kind of cool to have a new trio come up and, you know, dethrone MMB. I am about that, but it's just going to be a lot about mental game, you know, like you're saying. If you start to just lose your confidence even just a little bit, that's going to affect your potential placement in top. I'm getting a little too excited, Fortnite fam. I want to see more of this. But yeah, I think we're getting ready. Battle Bus players are boarding. Will be there in just a moment. I think we have a package here in just a moment. But what do you think, man? So, do you think, like, where is Aqua? Did you see Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
It's different heats. It's
different
okay.
heat.
This
There
is
is.
just heat 1. Just to remind me, a little too excited here. In Europe, 8 teams will be advancing and going on. And the way you're able to kind of score and work your way up into eliminations and placing higher up. So in Europe, particularly, they have the highest amount of participation. All of these players, right, this is the top 0.001%. Right. These are the best of the best and the people who are very able to, like, compete against these guys. So, like, they're able to elevate their game on a particular day. However, as we're sitting here and able to, like, have our own predictions, there's a reason we all think Mitro, Mongo, and Benji have done it. There are repeated trios who have shown they're consistently stronger and that much better than the rest. It's not like we're basing this off of, like, who our favorite players are, right? We're just going and looking at and breaking it down. But for now, we're going to take a 10-minute break.
Hello, family of Fortnite. AllTW here, and throughout the Fortnite Champion Series, we're going to be trying to get more acquainted with the world of competitive Fortnite. Today, we're going to be discussing the 3 different stages of a competitive Fortnite game. The early game, the mid game, and the late game. And what different players have as their goals during these stages in order to achieve the ultimate goal, the Victory Royale. Let's start with the early game. Also called the looting phase, this is where all players are attempting to secure their chosen landing spot and maximize their loot potential. In competitive Fortnite, every game matters, so players try to strike a balance between high loot opportunity and safety so as to not waste a game by being eliminated early. Do you drop at a high loot POI like Retail Row or Paradise Palms? Or at a safer POI on the edge of the map, where less players drop because of less loot. Regardless, the goal is common. Whether you take a passive approach by looting safely on the side of the map, or an aggressive and risky approach by letting others loot for you and finding early eliminations. Now that we know what the early game is, what should we be looking out for during this stage? First things first, the first realization players make when landing is whether you're being contested or not, to prepare for the upcoming possible fight. Trios want to try to force your opponent into the more disadvantageous position cut off from loot potential. Either they have to make a desperation push, or they're stuck with less loot where you can easily clean up. That's just the beginning, as even though it starts off high intensity with all the different POIs being contested, it quickly slows down as the rotations begin towards first zone. Looting doesn't end here, and most competitive players will have a loot path, which optimizes their possibility for finding the crucial mobility and weapon upgrades. Thanks to the new battle map feature in the replay mode, we can study these loot paths and rotations quite easily these days. So go check that out in any replay from the Fortnite Champion Series by going to the compete tab and finding your favorite player. It will vary from game to game, but generally, we move into the mid-game around the end of second zone. The mid-game is the calm before the storm. Before the storm circle gets too small where it forces the engagements. Most players' goals aren't positional, but in some cases, depending on how the early game wins, you again have to strike a balance, this time between looting and farming, or going for the best position. Looting could include playing extremely aggressive to earn yourself other players' loot. In trios, it's much harder to play that aggressive playstyle, since fights take longer and cost more. You want to be efficient with any rotations or fights you have to take. You don't want to spend your precious mobility, valuable resources, or health. This is why you'll see a lot of the top players look directly for center zone in the mid game. When you're in the center zone, you end up giving yourself the most chance of being in the next storm circle when it gets revealed. You'll then have to go less distance and thus spend less materials. Finally, the end game. The most exciting, hectic, thrilling, and difficult part of competitive Fortnite. Experiencing an endgame can be confusing and hard to process, but it will also be one of the most fun times to play and watch. This is when you take all the advantages you built in the early game and the mid game and use them to push yourself to a victory and as many eliminations as possible. In the current Fortnite Champion Series format, every elimination matters, just like it did in the World Cup. From 6th zone onwards, where the comms in the mid game explode into a cacophony of tunneling, mobility usage, and shots being fired, you'll see teams go ever so advantageous high ground, where they can tunnel very cheaply and have the most opportunity on the rest of the server for elimination, as they have the top-down view. You'll also see teams call out the need to find a good layer, which is away from other players, both above, below, and horizontally from them. You'll see teams desperate for the extra materials to last them through to the full zone closure, or for impact so they can top off the resources and power weaponry for the fallen opponent. So, whether you're watching or you're joining us on the field, take stock in the stage of the game. You really do. When you're trying to get the best possible use out of skill level. The victory royale. Use this. Maybe next time, we'll be watching and highlighting your top plays. This is TW, and I'll see you in game.
You are vulnerable throughout your whole flight and easily targeted by the trio you're trying to attack. Trouble rolling walls on the way up from your shockwaves can work against this though. You and your teammates their entire health shield pool with use of your absolute chaos from shockwaves and strategies to place to negate the negative and potential mishaps in certain situations. When going for height, separately boxing up before using the shockwaves and going for height then allows you to have power in numbers of 3 players plus a vertical rotation together overwhelming the competition. Discovering new positioning and shockwave throwing angles and targets within your box might keep your trio and teammates closer together when using one shockwave to rotate, saving crucial mats and attracting less attention during your mid-game rotations. Shockwave count by doing this, allowing for more opportunities to challenge high ground, grief low ground in the end game, or rotate in mid game. Countermeasures can be taken too, such as keeping a teammate higher than normal, multiple layers above you, as in the event of a vertical shockwave, you still have to keep down, keeping your own shockwaves handy is a way to counter that as well. But if both pure players smaller and smaller, the more likely the chance there is for a messy repeat shockwave circus happening all at the same time. Sky. Identifying these mistakes, staying in your lane, is a good way to anticipate and prevent disaster from striking before it happens. Although an item overlooked as simple as efficiency,
So first of all, sorry about that. We had a little bit of issues on our side with the European matches. On that, get what our thoughts and opinions are, but we're going to be hopping into Heat 2, Match 1 of the Middle East region in just a second here, and honestly, I'm excited. It's going format and seeing the top teams really go at it, and honestly, looking at the heats afterward, there are a lot of big changes.
Just a quick note to those at home. Occasionally we run into issues on the cast. Do your best to not get too worked up about it. You know, there's a lot of things at play here, so you have to imagine a 10-minute break is an insanely short amount of time to recover and get back into the games. As you can see here on your screen, Heat 2 Game 1 of the Middle East region just starting off. Tilted Town, a number of teams dropping down the bottom. And your pressure in the bottom and the pump shotgun. An early blue pump shotgun in tilted down, as you can see, is honestly one of the most powerful weapons you can get. It's just so hard. There's so many up close fights too.
Such a clean shot, and that's one of the perks of landing in tilted town. You know you're gonna get a blue. You know you're leaving a blue pump. You're leaving with. You stick around just to get back to the not much you can do there. That's one basically. Even then, you have better look.
But yeah, has such a refined loot pool. The trade-off of not being able to build, or in some people's mindsets, not having to build, because you know that you can just focus on gun skill. It feels like crazy. Everybody's going to come out stacked with a good set of materials in fact, just because you can pick up all that stuff out of the chest. Probably one of the better spots to drop.
There are some teams here.
The prediction from
That's against actually in Middle Eastern bot review. They landed at 4. We'll talk about that in just a bit here. As Kenji uses a valiant to try and take the high ground here. And he is going to get chipped just such a nice thing going on right now. This is one of our newer competitors. A little bit of catch up, right?
I wouldn't even say that, honestly. These players are so monster. I mean, you can watch each other grow, playing the game, watching these competitive experiences. You have opportunities like this. Look at that. Kiji immediately flicks up, gets the knife, you have to understand, these players in this region have been speaking for their own reasons. Regions, that kind of learning has to happen big time.
Right there to kind of easy to bend. Yeah, that's what I wanted to mention, is that they were held back for so long because of the ping differences, right?
Yeah.
But now having a lot of it has a little bit of remedy as well. So good for them to come off and have them pretty much catch a little highlight here today.
Did you pick it up there? Revive right there on Minzu. Knock from the your team only suffers a single knockdown. That's 3 eliminations. So that's 100%.
Headshot right there, ripped apart all this shit. Only now Savannah, this is a battle that we have to take. I like what they're doing. They're backing up at the trying to use this time to also gather some maximum process. This team is not letting up. We have the BNL starter here. Easy and they're still fluid.
The knock on Izzy, advantage at this point, picks up that elimination. 125 total HP. Mel against that elimination. And third one, and that is a solid 3 eliminations. Psy, Wild Gamer, the loss of silence down there in the bottom left corner.
As I've browsed around the Middle Eastern region, so good to see him pulling up and performing here, as they now are pretty much clear.
Psy has 2 green tactical shotguns in there with some bandages. AR, that TAC SMG. Lucky landing, looking like it is calm at this point. A lot of builds, but no competition left down here as this trio is going to be able to pick back up, potentially finish looting up down here, farm any materials they can get out of it. They're in the safe zone. Circle still has 38 seconds before it closes, so they're not feeling too much pressure in any way right now. We'll have to see where the next circle goes. This is a good opportunity for them to build up a good buffer of materials, healing any leftover loot that might be down here. Make their way onto the next safe zone without much issue. Meanwhile, Suber, Sammy, and Dream pushing from outside of the storm. Yep. The far east drop here in the desert.
Such a weird place to play as well. The moisty palms where you can't just crouch freely. You have to be very cautious. A lot of the competitive players opting to unbind the crouch just in case. You don't want to make any mistakes there. And honestly, if you do that, you're kind of in the advantage, right? You set yourself up for success, so you don't make any mistakes in PvP. I know myself, I tend to crouch in fights all the time. You don't really realize it till it happens, but
it's a tough break when it does happen, I'll say. Looks like an attempted shockwave to avoid a fight there, but Saber does get the pick there. A knockdown is rotating into the storm. Trying to get to safe.
That's going to be a nice little knock there. He's going to replenish his health up. There is a player outside of the storm line. It's going to be his teammate, Will, who's waiting nearby. And you can see over at the other kind of crater there to the left where you can farm up all the stone. That's probably where the rest of that guy's duo is. Most likely, I should say here. But someone does see the rotation. They're pushing on in. We have a trio coming in.
I say now's the time. You have people just coming in from the storm. You think you're in the better position. Pushing is basically no see
the shots outside the storm wave. You figured you might as well push out. These guys are going to come out with a little bit of health tick. Anything to have that advantage.
Back.
Sammy won't see here, says, you know what, it's not the battle we want to take. The third party. They're just pressuring what's back up. They want to reset.
I don't blame him. He basically started that fight not as a full trio. Sammy was still outside in the storm, and so rotating back away and saying, nah, this is not the fight to take. Not exactly the best spot. Plus, think about it, they did force that team, the team that applied pressure from inside the safe zone. Traps in the wall. Later in the game. Win. Eliminations here.
Forced to fight their way down now. Quite a rotation here as the zone seems to be pushing all the way south. So the later you move, the more congested this rotation will be. The harder it will be later in the game. Early, especially, a zone favors heavily.
Taking a look, passing. I would say position-wise, not the best call. You draw a lot of attention to yourself as you are outside towards the edge of what is going to so people are probably going to look back at you're hitting they catch the knock, but they don't even collapse to kind of seal the deal. They say, you know what, instead, we're going to focus more on the zone here. They're going to get ahead, so they use that little bit of distraction, downtime, and chaos to get it's probably still going to convert first and then turn the battle back. Depends on how fast the storm is moving on this edge. They are closer to the short side, so it's moving slower. But yeah, you have a chance maybe for a pickup there, but I think, like you're saying, in that moment they say, yeah, we got the knock, we could push for it, but placement at this point is probably more important. You're looking at 26 trios remaining. Three. Right now, pushing into the storm is very important. You want to try and make to that top 15 as early as possible. Safe spots, you can sit and wait.
Warning there as we're approaching zone 3. There's over 70 players to the zone 3 ratio. Zone surge will start to fix this. Only one trio probably effective. Anything can happen. They can get pushed by the wrong ones. The other team can jump into a fight. So
at this point, only one player needs to go down too, and we might actually find it. There it is. What a snipe. FHD looking back to the east over there. Quick little flick. A 157 body shot. Pressure. Here, maybe get a chance to revive Sting.
they actually used a lot of so using all the power squad down here in the factory area. And this is the second time now they've caught a knock, and they haven't quite, seized the moment. Very patient. Will it bite them in the butt later on, though?
Honestly, I think that's the start. All three of them are stepped up. People that are east of the little factory area. They get the knock, yeah, but your only option basically is to try and take shots on the structure and get that. And immediately just crawl back and use the line of sight of it. Other people, they're going to I would rather see these players do exactly what they're doing right now and sit inside the build, do all the wall replaces, and wait just a minute, because what might happen, and you see in your minimap, that almost is the call there, that trio, the one that they got the knock on, there's a team further outside. They're going to get pressure from the back. They have a chance to sandwich. That might be eliminations that they can pick up later, rather than applying pressure and maybe getting a third party themselves.
I almost also want to say, though, that's the same team that done got sniped twice. For the heavy sniper, gotta be careful, buddy.
Little rivalry
Tuck
building
the
up there.
head down. You gotta duck. Careful on the peaks here, but NM7. Teams are blasting everywhere. Minute left.
Oh
He catches
my
another
gosh.
one right in the tail. TV's gonna go down. They want to push it through with less than a minute on the rotation here. In comes the stinkers. The heavy sniper cracks open the wall, and there is a team nearby. They can hear the shots. They're looking over if you look at your map, but they're going for safety instead. It's a long rotation.
Around. You see that those two trios on the southeast side, they're rotating around trying to get in the safe zone. Meanwhile, these two teams that have fought each other doesn't get pushed too far in on that trio without his back. One elimination. If the pressure is good and gets a better position, might be able to convert that into another three. We'll see here in a second. Shots from inside the safe zone. They're just at the edge. And there are so many teams so close together. 1, 2, 3, 4, I believe 5 trios within probably 50 meters of each other right there.
And Aziz and his trio actually really lucky. Aziz was straight out. That duo, what was left of the trio, managed to squeak away here. Heavy sniper turns. He has another one. FHD is on fire right now. You can see here, this team is scary with the double. They're loaded up right now.
Trio focus fire is big, but FHD pays the price. Another team up behind. This is what I was saying. 5 trios in one. Like basically 150-meter circle is so tough because as soon as you start spraying on one, everyone's going to look at you and say, you're exposed right now. You're not looking at me. It might be the time to take a shot. Imagine if instead of ARs, that could have been a knock, and then suddenly turn on this team for power.
That's right. Okay, Paul has plenty of heals to spare here. You saw he did manage to pop 2. They still have 6 chug splashes. They have, slurps for the road. They're very, very set up right now.
With how close together they are to other teams, I'm surprised they're not using. They have 11 chug splashes. Use even just one of those, just to top off one player and get your last one to only 5 HP missing, because if you're in a bad spot and you start getting beamed, you're going to want every single HP that you can get. Double snipe. Double snipe. Finds the first one, beams, and not side goes straight into the launch pad to rotate into the circle. This trio's playing very, very well.
Not side should have known better than to sit still in a 1-by-1. That is one of the risks you take, especially in trios. There's way too many eyes focused on the field. You can sit still in a box. The server dictating the pace right here. With all pressure, all fire coming in, this is the most active trio we've seen so far in the server.
The east side of the map basically belongs to them thus far. There is that team. We saw them look up above on top of the hill, looking down. You got to be very careful on the angles. Would not be surprised if there's a chance the shots come down to the top. Shot. Back one tap just past them. That's the team I was talking about. They're all the way up top. They have high defense. Peek on the brick wall. They're just out of the also down in Happy Hamlet have Minzu, Moon, and Kinji. The ultimate high ground down here. A number of teams underneath.
This is actually fantastic. 6 shockwaves, 2 shield bubbles. They're set up so pretty up here. Headshot right there from Kinji's gonna put some hurt on that. You have a heavy sniper to crack open the build as well. Think someone tries to take that out. First sandwich right there as Sultan goes down by Kinji. Nice reaction speed right there. That shockwave play was not the one to do.
A valiant effort. But did the trio all hit to the teeth. Has that shield bubble out. Rotation scene, we'll have to see here. Almost want to see one of these players straight their own head and make a move with it at the same time.
Bubble down so that their pad doesn't get taken out. So he says he's gonna set that up for the safety measure right there, and just like that, they are able to skate away and get to the next safe zone here. Nice alarm rotation, perfect launch pad. Not a single one of their teammates was affected or shot on that rotation right there. So that was a very clean pad away.
Power still solid right there. Eska.
Another tap there, taken out right there. Chicago's chucking in all of the grenades right here. He gets taken out right there. Another knock. That's a triple knock with the grenades right here.
But grenades are pretty good. Especially when you have to stack together. You have your teammates spray down the walls where you're tossing those things.
And just look at the map. They're all in the same spot. So naturally, you're going to hit someone.
We're about to get into placement points here. Just before we cut, we have 16. There you go, 16 trios remaining. As soon as we get to top 15, everybody picks up a set of points, 34 players total, which means a lot of these trios are no longer trios. You have quite a few single or duo players left at this point as the feed's still lighting up. Players are now forced to the northwest side.
Oh, I see. It looks like the second shot. They're trying to set up kind of play.
Craftsmanship is key.
It's important to set it up properly so that everyone can get There's no time left. They're just going to have to go ahead and throw it down. It's going to be a very scuffed shockwave here.
Honestly, that's not bad.
Yeah.
Sigel with a big move there, landed literally in a set of builds already, and there's edits set up. He now has a bubble shield to protect. You can look back and try to build this duo.
Eska does get taken out there, so Toggle is getting a little bit of a 1v1 right here. Box up, trying to look for that. To the face right there. There was nothing he can do. You kind of asked for it. That just waited.
Yeah, that you know. It's box.
Zone 7 here. You have your teams already situated up in the high ground. Shockwaves are already flying all around you here. power. And 7 were jumping back in. We saw land some ridiculous snipes earlier today. It's going to sneak up behind them, but they have a nice little pitch right there. Great white shot right there. Doc Loop, and he catches it with a quick cleanup and quick reaction speed right here. That's a 2.
Little splash. That heal. Excellent call. These rotations in, trying to get these quick edits and try and tarp while your teammates are still with you. And healing, that's big. Yeah, no mats left. NM7 is empty now. They're going to have to trade off who's doing what on the team. Still making moves, though. Bubble shield there. Plus, the zone is right at their back. Storm trying to stay safe, but can't quite find it. Back into the safe zone here as NM7's looking back. This is a great opportunity. If he had held that for maybe 2 or 3 more seconds, he might have had another shot on the player that did get the knockdown underneath. Movement into the safe zone is key here, but he's almost on 3 bits. 3 metal builds remaining. 9 points, and there's 6 trios left to trap behind, just in case somebody tries to drop down in, but does get broken. Player underneath. It is chaos at this point.
And then Sayer is the absolute player. And the Minzu takes him out. We've been following Minzu dogs for FHD for all these players for so long now. This team is toe-to-toe on YouTube. Bonfire, Kinji all have the high ground right here. They have stinkers, they have explodes. They're set up for success right now. Here comes the quick edit. Minzu's trying to get this peek right here. Is he going to be able to connect? No, the shockwave pushes him out. In comes the firing. He doesn't have time to push all the way through. It's going down. Somehow, they close out by staying alive just long enough. The shots, the trades, FHD and Yonks were holding it down, actually trading the shots. The shockwave was perfect.
Minzu's trio went from the only full team left to both players knocked and Minzu in the storm because of a single shockwave so fast. I think nobody on that team saw that coming. Absolutely ridiculous. Last couple seconds there. Now, just to take a look back, give us some details. We got
Heck yeah, these guys had the power, they brought the force, they cleaned out the game in the worst circumstance possible. Even throughout the game, we saw so many people utilizing mechanics being used, which is huge because, you know, Lupo and Monster had a conversation. Are these guys caught up? Do they have enough time? Is everything, you know, in place for this region to be at the top spot next to EU, NA, right? We have this breakdown of a little bit of separation in the middle. We have NA West, EU, Brazil, as well as NA East, and they're all in that big top 8. First time seeing games actually broadcasted as well. We can see people now becoming stars, right? We could have the next insane, calmer, clutch individual mongrel, but, you know, international, across the season, a different time zone, playing his own. They always have the strategies drop down from height, going upwards, downwards, everywhere around the game. It's really cool seeing how a new region develops, where they actually place themselves in the timeline of exactly how their skills are, how their build fighting metagame is, what they try to do on height afterwards. A pattern we saw in the first EU games where, hey, if MMB have height, everyone below them, no shields at all. Every tag, it's a headshot from a scar. It's an easy 72 white damage tag that usually gets them that elim at the end. Middle East, same way. We're going to break it down in just a second, but there's an entire type of shifted metagame where it's kind of those things that you knowledge you have at the end type of Season 9 end games. They're rotating, pumping, you're saving your items. At the same time, early game, you're using them. You have everything on your board. You have your inventory. You know exactly what your teammates have. The comms are nice. Everything's on the plate, ready to go, ready to get feasted on. So Middle East right now for me is just it's really nice. We're going to be going into a clip actually of an early game, I believe, game. We're going to dive in with Kinzel, I believe. We'll see how he plays out. Actually, no, this is a power clip. There we go. Kinji up in Happy Hamlet. It's going to be really dope to see him actually punch out 4-3 on height. We talk about the metagame, right? When shockwaves first got introduced, it was a straight pump or combat shot upwards. It took people time to get used to that AR spray. He has it in his inventory already. These guys are caught up. They know. Ramp edits, practicing creative, right? Very creative. a lot of ingenuity there, as well as wall-facing forward protection. It's not raw gameplay, it's actually curated practice, and they're brand new to the national scene, which is amazing. You know, baiting your teammates out for HP, going for finishes, even support players like Moon know exactly what to do now. Just won that previous game. Power everything, knowing how to use angles properly. Has traps in front of him, doesn't matter. When to engage, low HP, still does not matter. No pressure taken because these guys have practiced. This is not their first rundown, but it is their first showdown of exactly what they can do, right? No Max here, has the elims, low health, still knows exactly when to look up, what to loot, when to use your utility, and when to support your teammate and still have a presence in the game, which is once again something players learned a lot later. So these guys are caught up with the meta game. They do know how to finish off. They know their exact win conditions as well and when to drop them through. Amazing gameplay. We're going to now tune in and see what else they can do on the Middle East. I'm going to be piking it up with my man. We're both going to hit that cast. We're going to see exactly how these guys go down. We'll relive that breakdown about their presence compared to the rest of the international regions.
See from this region, I think you did an amazing breakdown there. I think the ceiling for ME is still very high. We haven't quite seen what they're fully capable of, I think, over the weekend. I'm also excited that we finally made Shy Wager and Zeke. Shoot, we have come together. That was great, actually. That is but anyway, the games are ready. Let's hop in Fortnite family. This game, I can't wait to see what happens here in this game. Because remember, these everyone's asleep, including myself. I slept like a baby, just kind of. Anyway, we're getting into it. We can see now where people are trying to land early. So, I mean, you know, you've got the Pleasant there. You've got a team of Junk. The old Villain Factory. You've got Snobby, Self-Flying, even over Grace. There's still quite a bit of teams, though, still that are airborne.
Guess one thing you mentioned earlier, Zeke, was the whole idea of these games happened this morning, right? For me, chewing gum, untouched, still good to eat later in the day. There's so much flavor in these games we have yet to see. No, seriously, man. Like, once again, we're tuning with pattern, this pattern, right? I kind of, you know, went to the HD side comparison. These guys are in retail, Mongols in retail. You know, we had Monster, Lupo, saying these guys have been waiting for a long time, right? There's so many bots they've been watching. They have the knowledge, man. They have the power.
Yeah, and now look.